Hey, howdy, and welcome all to the Big and Bright Podcast. My name is Nick. This here next to me is James.
Howdy.
Slow week for Texas. It's been a little rough. I do want to apologize on behalf of James and I for missing last week. James got the Rona,
Got the
and
Kung flu.
so we figured since he had the chop flu, he was gonna sit this one out. And I said, well, let's go ahead and just take a week off. We kind of need the rest anyway. And I thought it was good. And then we said, all right, we'll bring it back next week. We'll do a Zoom recording because he's got that 10-day quarantine, right? Well, then, as it would happen, turns out I got the Rona too.
Oh,
so
we're brothers.
We're COVID brothers now, right? And we're both kind of sitting in our house, confined to our quarters. That's why you don't see our beautiful set behind me. I'm actually at my house right now, in my room, so that I don't disturb my beautiful wife who's out there taking care of my little baby boy. So we've both got COVID. Let's real quick, just so we can edify the people, James, talk about our experiences with COVID. James, what was COVID like for you? I feel like this is weird. I feel like we're swapping like Pledge Brothers stories. It's like, what was pledge like when you pledged? What was it like when you pledged? No. What was COVID like for you?
I got congestion.
Yep.
And I was overtired, so I've been going to bed earlier.
Yeah.
That's about it.
That's about it. Well, this is me on day 2 of COVID. My head hurts, no doubt, right? I got the kind of typical cold symptoms, fever, ache, but you can see I'm not congested, I'm not coughing. Just got that positive test, so I got to kind of sit here in my room and make sure that I don't infect my family, which, of course, you should be responsible if you have a positive test. If you have a positive COVID test, let me be very clear. You should be responsible. You shouldn't be out and about spreading it to people, talking to people on the street, shaking hands, kissing babies, stuff like that. That's not.
I've been licking doorknobs.
You should take that time and you should make sure that you're being responsible for everybody else. But man, for me, the craziest thing for me was that it spiked super fast. It was like within an hour, I felt fine all day. And then like right as the evening hit, within an hour, I was done. And it just really, and again, it wasn't like debilitating. Like it wasn't like I couldn't operate or function. It was just, wow, I feel really sick really quick. And then I went to bed, got up this morning. I still feel a little iffy, but I'm not, there's nothing terrible. There's
just
nothing
take
terrible going
Dayquil. That's literally what helped me. Dayquil.
Nothing that Tylenol can't fix, honestly, man. Keeping food down, it's all good. So, hopefully we get better and we can start meeting up again at our set, and we can start doing these shows live because we got some great stuff planned for you in the future. James he's got a little bit that he's been preparing for. We're really excited about that. That being said, as far as Texas is concerned, the past 2 weeks we figured would give us a lot of content, and
we got a redistricting map.
Yeah, I mean, really, this as far as Texas news is concerned, we have a redistricting map. We've got a couple of things that are happening on the national scale that I think affect Texas, and we have some decisions that are being made about Texas. But again, we try to avoid the federal. We try to keep it local here on this show. So definitely want to get to that. But the first thing I want to talk about is a recent story that popped up regarding Texas nursing homes, and James was the one that actually dug this one out of the mire. So I'm going to let him take it away on that.
Yeah. According to Texas Tribune, the Texas nursing homes are asking the state for $400 million in federal Rona relief to address staffing crisis. Why do they have staffing crisis? Well, because 40% of the state's 100,000-ish nursing home employees aren't vaccinated, and they could face a federal ultimatum coming soon because Biden has promised it, or they have promised it, whoever you think is president. That's basically why. Governor Abbott has said he's going to vow to fight vaccine mandates. However, he hasn't done anything about it yet, so he's just waiting for they to pull the trigger. Yeah.
Here's the thing about this. As far as what can Greg Abbott do to fight vaccine mandates at a national level? He can just say no. He could pass a law here in the state, but he can't do anything to fight what Biden's going to do.
He
what
can
they're going
fight
to
it from the state level and say, these places do not count. They are not under your purview. They're in my state. Therefore, I take the brunt of this responsibility.
Yeah.
Since you will not take responsibility, as we've seen through Afghanistan,
Mhm.
then no. Since no, if you're not going to take any responsibility for anything you do, Mr. Biden, then no.
What you could do also is you could basically say, listen, these laws that you're talking about are not going to be enforced. I'm passing a state ordinance that says that, you know, cities, municipalities, and counties are empowered to not enforce these specific mandate laws. And if you want these laws enforced, then bring the feds, and kind of call Biden's bluff on that. We certainly didn't
It's
bring the feds.
literally
Yeah,
Texan.
yeah,
Come and take it.
exactly.
You
And here's the
won't.
thing: calling you saying bring the feds, and we know you're not going to bring the feds. Why? Because we had another crisis here recently on the border. You didn't bring the feds for that, did you?
No,
So,
our
so
troopers had to go down there and do it.
how crazy would that be though? Is that if Abbott comes out and says, "Listen, I'm empowering all cities and municipalities and localities to not, feel free to not enforce this law. You will not be penalized at the state level." Biden, your move, bring the feds, and they just like swarm this place. How crazy would that be? It's like, okay, we have a border crisis, and they're like, well, no, and they say, oh, someone's violating vaccine mandates. Who
Oh,
goes? Here's the thing: if we pass something along these lines in Texas, and I value that, right? I value that come and take it spirit that Texans have. The one place that you could make a case. Now, I think vaccine mandates are ridiculous. I think that they're ridiculous when they're funded by companies, or especially when they're played out by the federal government. I think they're dumb. I don't like them. The one place that you could make a case for having vaccine mandates for employment is nursing homes. Possibly also just hospitals in general, because you're encountering sick people on a regular basis. I don't necessarily know if hospitals would qualify, but nursing homes, if there's one place, if there's one industry where you're like, okay, you've got to be vaccinated if you're going to work here, nursing homes might be. You'd have a case because you're dealing constantly with really vulnerable people.
who
So
were likely vaccinated. If it works, then why are you worried about it?
that's true. They are vaccinated, but I think it would be. I think it would be
It
reasonable.
seems that more people who are terrified are those who are vaccinated than those who are unvaccinated.
That's true, but I think it would be more reasonable, because here's the deal. I think it would be reasonable to say, for a nursing home to say, listen, if you're going to come into this nursing home, you've got to have your vaccine for COVID. And if you're going to, I'm sorry, and if you're going to work there, you have to be vaccinated, because here's the thing: we are seeing breakthrough cases, right? We are saying that the vaccine does not prevent you from getting the disease, which is weird because that's what a vaccine is supposed to do. It's supposed to prevent you from getting the disease. What we have here is a really good preemptive therapeutic. Does that make sense? Like it's like
basically a flu shot.
If you get it, it will keep you from being hospitalized, and it will keep you from being, it'll keep you from dying, which is true. We've seen that, but it doesn't prevent you from getting the disease. And so I think that if you're going to have a mask,
how many breakthrough cases have to come through for it to be like, all right, let's just call it a case, because obviously it's not working.
That's true, but it is working in the sense that less people are dying. That's undeniable. I think the vaccines are working in that area. But the people who are vaccinated and are still dying, most of those people are elderly people. Right. So those kinds of people are going to have a chance at surviving. If they're going to have a chance of surviving, you've got to put them in the best possible position. So for a mask mandate or for a vaccine mandate, I think that if Governor Abbott exempted nursing homes from something like that, I wouldn't be too upset.
Yeah, but again, we're supposedly in a pandemic. So who's going to blink first? You're going to have enough staff, or are you going to constantly be understaffed? Well, that's your decision then. It's just like hospitals that, we know here in Dallas that are doing it and people are quitting. There's hospitals in Houston, same thing. They let about a quarter of their staff go. Okay, you said you're overworked, you're understaffed. Well, how about now?
Massive.
If you really want to hold to this, go ahead, because it's not going to work for you, because eventually more private hospitals will exist. They'll say, you know what, we're not doing any of that. We're in life. Mm-hmm. We've always had to be in life. Our job literally works around sick people. All of a sudden it's different, despite the recovery rates.
Yeah.
No.
there is no doubt a massive problem in hospitals right now, and I think that what's happening for a lot of people, and as someone who has family that works in healthcare, what a lot of people think is happening is, oh, the beds are going to be are being overloaded because we just have so many COVID cases, and it's true. We have seen an increase over the summer in COVID cases broadly, but the bigger problem is that we're losing staff. Right now,
They're being burnt out.
yeah, right now I'm seeing, we're seeing hospitals put, $1,000+ bonuses just for picking up a shift, right? Because they're so dramatically understaffed. And that is a problem, because if you don't have the staff, then you don't have an available bed, right? We think about, and that's a weird thing that they're doing. And we'll move on after this, but I just want to make this point. A weird thing they're doing is when they say we don't have enough hospital beds, right? That's what we think of, the mental image the mental picture that puts in our mind is there's so many physical beds and we just have all of these people and there's literally not a bed to put them in. That's not really what we're talking about. When you say a hospital bed, you mean a staffed bed, right? So there is space.
You can't just put them there and leave them there. You have to actually attend them.
Staff to work on these people. And so you've got some major issues when it comes to hospital beds. And the bigger part of that is the fact that you're just seeing people leave in droves because of vaccine mandates. So yeah, I'm with you, Abbott. You got to get on that.
Stick to your guns. Fine. Then you're going to have less and less staff.
We're going to talk about potentially what we can do about the governor here in just a little bit, but let's talk about this funding request. So he's asking for $400 million.
Yeah.
He's asking for $400 million specifically for recruitment. He's asking to retain workers. They're wanting to staff their people.
Yep.
And I see fully that again, if you start asking for money, Biden's going to say, yeah, that comes with string attached. I'll give you the money if you put in the vaccine mandates.
I wouldn't do it without strings attached either. It's a smart play.
And so you've got that situation, but I mean, the reality is that if these nursing homes aren't getting funding from the state, they're going to pass that cost over to the consumer, right?
Well, there you have. Yeah. It cost 25% more the last 18 months to operate it. You think regulations, that's what happens. Your money dwindles a lot quicker than it used to.
Nursing homes are expensive, man. And I mean, this is one of those things that we've gotten this kind of weird stigma, and it's not so much in Texas, but it definitely is in other places. There's this weird stigma against grandparents living with or parents and grandparents living together, like having 3 generations in a house. I don't see the stigma behind that. I think that as a child, like if your parents raised you, you should be willing to take care. One of the siblings should be willing to take care of them in their later lives, and you shouldn't.
Yeah, but that's easier said than done. Sometimes it gets to a point where you're not equipped to take care of them. I know for my wife's grandmother, obviously my grandmother-in-law, it's not that she lives in her own house. She still lives in her own house. She's in her late 90s, but it's now to the point where even her son, who lives very close and takes care of her and my father-in-law pays for a lot of things to make sure that everything keeps rolling around for her house. Well, she's a danger to herself now. So that's why the nursing home is becoming an option, because there's nothing they can do to help her. They're not equipped with the information or the tools that they may need, that if she has a bad day, what do? So a son and a daughter can only do so much.
That's true. But there is
but that's also what she's in her late 90s. You're talking like 70s, 80s, like that's different, obviously.
And the world is changing. People are living longer. 2-income households are more common now, right? Where people don't necessarily have the time to monitor and take care of their kids, let alone their parents, right? But the perspective from Texas about this, though, is that we've started a game of chicken with the federal government. Like you said, it's who's going to blink first. That's what we're talking about here. And I don't like the fact that Abbott asked for this money, because you're allowing Biden to come back with a response of saying, "Oh, you're looking for some money to help out your
nursing homes asked for it. Abbott hasn't asked for it yet."
Okay. Well,
we'll see. We do have that rainy day fund. You never know.
I really hope we can figure this out, because I don't want Abbott to have to go ask the federal government for money. Because it's going to come up with that strings attached, and you know that we're going to get hammered in the media, right? You got these vaccine mandates, and now guess who's looking for money to help their nursing homes? Everyone is asking.
Well, they hate us anyway, so I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah, but you got to play the stronger hand. And right now, if we cave first and we ask for the money, that's not playing a stronger hand. Let's talk about abortion, right? That's the other thing that happened. We're still in kind of the thick of this craziness from the Texas abortion law, which, by the way, still in effect. Couldn't be more proud of my state, right? We've effectively banned abortion in Texas, which is fantastic. But
there
people,
has been a doctor who has aborted a baby in defiance of the law to literally trip up the law. So
is he
the
getting
challenge is already awaiting. Yep.
Awesome. Good. I mean, it was going to happen anyway.
Yeah,
it was going to happen anyway. You might as well get it out of the way. But in case you didn't know, James, there are some people out there who aren't so happy with the abortion.
Oh yeah.
Some people out there who actually like and admire the murdering of babies, right? So
much so they'll scream, have signs, get in hordes and masses of people, despite apparently there's a pandemic, but there's not because it's different. Yeah.
This is the same thing that happened during the Black Lives Matter riots, right? There's a pandemic, but if you're going out to protest,
not for BLM,
then if you're going out for BLM, then it's a little different, right?
Doesn't count.
But we've seen these massive protests that are going around, and even here in the DFW area, right? Not just in Austin, not just down in the capital. We've seen
it was in Houston, Austin, Dallas, San Antonio. I'm sure there's some more I'm missing. I really don't care. It was just thousands and thousands of people. And it's like, oh, these are the same folks, though, that also say, you need to be more respectful to your common man. Wear the mask. Get the shot.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
You know,
give babies a shot and kill them in the womb. That's what you want to do.
That's true. And it's so crazy how the my body, my choice narrative shifts depending on what you're talking about, right?
Oh yeah.
It's my body, my choice when you're talking about vaccine, or when you're talking about abortion, but it's not your body, it's not your choice when you're talking about vaccines, because you could potentially hurt somebody else, as opposed to abortion when you are
totally not hurting anybody else.
Certainly hurting somebody else, right?
Yeah.
Just
so bundle of cells, Nick.
Really what the goal of these protests are, I guess, is just to make noise.
It started in 2017 after Trump got elected. So it's basically trying to be the resistance. And it's like, your guy won. Who are you resisting? You lost, like you say democracy. Well, this went in democratically. Yeah, but that's not democracy we want. Oh.
This is a break from the Women's March, right?
Yeah, they wear the little pink hats.
Yeah. No, the
not going to call them what they actually have called and said that's a dirty word. I'm not going to call them that.
Yeah, it is a dirty word. We are respectful here on this podcast. The pink hat Women's March usually takes place in January, and the big one is usually in Washington, D.C. Although the last year of Trump's presidency, I think there was maybe a couple hundred people.
Whereas the March for Life just quadrupled it last year, and it's like
millions of people go to the March for Life. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. But then the Women's March it usually happens before that, and it's just a bunch of really angry blue-haired people screaming about,
a bunch of blue hairs and beta males and everything else going, well, here's a sign that has a uterus on it. I'm a resistance. Okay. Heard the same argument over and over.
It's gotten that way, right? It was actually pretty strong in the early Trump presidency. It was pretty strong. There were a lot of people, but it's definitely dwindled since then. And it certainly has now that Trump's not even in office, because of course we don't have a cause if Trump's not in office. The big deal with this is that we have to say, what's their goal, right? Is their goal to get them to just revoke the law? I think their goal is just to make noise. I think their goal is just to be disruptive and to get on the news.
If this is Ashley Harrison, is a person that was quoted in this NPR article that I found. If this law doesn't go away, I don't want to get rid of my rights. So they're just going to keep yelling. And she even said, she goes, so I don't think, I do think about maybe moving out if it doesn't get changed. Now, an NSYNC song comes to mind. And I think you should listen to it and just go back.
Yeah. Pause. Who is Ashley Harrison?
She is one of the activists that were quoted because that's all they like to quote in NPR. So she was one of the many activists setting all this thing up.
Okay, pause. Why do I care if she leaves?
We don't.
What value do you bring to my state? I want you gone. And that's the thing. It's like they say all of these people coming in saying, if they don't bring back abortion in Texas. I'm leaving. And I go, oh, yes, our plan is coming into effect. We're weeding out all of the people that we don't want.
Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. Bye.
That's gross. Anyway, but again, we definitely have some issues with the mass amounts of people that are meeting and getting coronavirus. Whereas those of us,
there's an article we'll share that has these totally serious people about their right to murder children, and it's from Texas Tribune, and they're just super packed in there. Not really a lot of social distancing going on.
Yeah, but those of us who are on the pro-life side, like you and I, we are responsibly staying in our houses. We're responsibly confined to quarters, which is I'm gonna go crazy in here. That's another thing I'm gonna say. I'm gonna
welcome to my world. It's been
lose
fun.
my mind. There's no way. All right, let's talk about the stuff that we all know. We all know is important here. Let's talk about the governors.
Whew.
The next governor of Texas. Now, a little known secret. James, I've been told, has got some issues with the current governor of Texas. Is that true, James?
Me and a lot of people.
Yeah, got some issues there. Got some issues with the fact that he's not Ron DeSantis.
I got some issues that he is all of a sudden conservative in the last 2 years, right before election.
Hey, I'd rather that than somebody that's not conservative at all. Here's the other thing that's important to note. This notion that the Texas governor can be, politically speaking, can be a stalwart conservative and remain in office, it's probably not the case. I mean, we're a very purple. We're trending in a very purple direction.
Don't you say that about us, Nick.
We are. I'm sorry, and especially these large metropolitan areas where you've got massive amounts. You've got massive amounts of people that are congregating in cities. You're going to see a lot more liberals there. This idea that Texas is Wyoming and we can just get a governor that's going to be like, yeah, God, guns and whatever, and it's all going to be fine. That's just not the case. You're going to have a governor that's willing to make a little bit of compromise on one thing or another. So we're
not shutting down their cities and blockading them in. You're welcome. We could just do that.
I'm actually pretty pleased. And of course there's things that I would change about Greg Abbott, but I'm actually pretty pleased about the way he's done a lot of this stuff. I'm very pleased with the abortion law. I'm very pleased with some of the way. I mean, I do think that he needs to put down the vaccine mandates, but he's put down a lot of the mask mandates. Texas opened up relatively quickly with compared to the rest of the country. Well, Florida was always open. Yes, I know. Texas isn't Florida. Deal with it. I'm sorry. Texas and Florida are not the same state. You're not working with the same demographics. You're not working with the same number of people. It is a different situation here in Texas. And this theme that we have about Texas being this utter hub, this rock bed of conservatism, is not the case. You need to have a governor that is, while they have the right values, is willing to work within that system to get those values done.
I'm not working with anybody. Screw them.
Okay. So Greg Abbott is running for governor.
He is running for re-election.
He's running up for re-election, right? Well, he's not running. He's pushing himself really fast, right? But I'm sorry. I love you, Greg Abbott. I think you're awesome. But that
go to your corner.
That was too good. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have made that joke. That was polite. Anyway, Greg Abbott is doing for a second term. He's already the governor. His record speaks for itself. If you want to know how we feel about him, respectively, watch our old episodes. We got a lot of talk about our current governor. I think it'd be fine. I would be perfectly happy if he ran for a second term and got it, right? Next candidate, Dawn Huffines. Huffines, is that the Huffines Has It guy?
I think so, but it really lists him as an American politician, and I'm like, he's a businessman. I'm like, is this Huffines Has It?
Yeah, isn't that the Huffines Has It guy? So for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, in the DFW area, there are a bunch of car dealerships called Huffines dealerships, right? They're Chevy. They usually just sell Chevy, Ford, GMCs, pretty standard stuff. And they always have this jingle, Huffines Has It. And it's just one of those earworms that will never leave you. And now that might be the reason That might be the reason. He might not even be that guy, right? Because Huffines is not an
But it's working for him.
right? He might not even be that guy, but people are gonna be like, oh, it's the Huffines has it guy, right?
All around DFW, I see billboards for Huffines. Like, he is putting his word out.
But a lot of those are car dealerships.
Well, no, it's his face. He's
I know.
like true conservative, Huffines for governor, and he tweets everything every day. He is. I mean, you want someone who's pissed off at Greg Abbott? Look at this dude's Twitter handle.
Yeah.
It is hilarious. I like so many of it. Nick has to go in there and unlike. He's like, dude, you gotta be nice. I'm like, nah, screw it.
Dude's all over Twitter. He's definitely running that Trump strategy of getting into social media, being active on social media. Might work for him, man. He might be I'd say he probably is the best shot, besides Abbott, of getting the next governor, of becoming the next governor of Texas. I'd say he's probably the number 2 candidate up there.
Yeah.
Really staunch conservative. This guy is going to put everything. He's going to totally shut down vaccine mandates. He's promised that. He wants to end property taxes.
Well, every freaking conservative says that.
And I don't believe you. I don't believe that you're going to end property taxes. We don't have a sales tax in Texas. And you've got to drastically, if you're going to get rid of the property taxes, you've got to drastically cut.
You mean income tax? We have a sales tax.
Yeah, sorry, income tax. Yeah, income tax. We don't have an income tax. We have a sales tax, which I would be fine if we boosted the sales tax a little bit more. I don't have a problem with that. But you're
literally switching to switch.
You're not going to cut property taxes and make up for it with a slight increase in sales tax. So you're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to cut property taxes. It's too linked to schools. I don't think. Now, trust me, I hate property tax. Like the fact,
I think it could be a whole lot better if the tag went with the kid, not where you live and you have to pay it. No.
Again,
it should go with the kid no matter what.
Again, but we're not talking about the same thing, right?
You're
talking about school vouchers, which is how you distribute money. I'm talking about how you get the money in the first place, right? The way you get the money for schools in large part is through your property taxes. Now, I don't like property taxes because I don't think that you should have to pay every year on an asset that you own, right? When I bought my car, I paid tax, title, and license, and I paid sales tax on the car when I bought it. I don't pay an annual tax stipend on my vehicle, right? So I don't like the idea of property taxes. I think they desperately need to be reformed, but I don't think you're going to be able to get rid of them entirely.
No. And like I said, every conservative has promised this. Every time it's like, yeah, we've heard you, bro. This is your conservative throwaway. Like, if, for instance, when Trump was in there, if I'm a Democrat saying, and I'm gonna fight Trump tooth and nail, I was like, yep, we figured you'd say that. Check mark. You're like, yeah, yep, this is our check mark. This is property taxes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
He's also going to
grid. That makes sense.
He's going to fix the grid. Do we know what the problem with the grid is? I think that's kind of the issue. Who's going to fix it? Oh, I'm going to say fix it. Okay. That would be my follow-up question. That would be my follow-up question from Don Huffines is, do you know what the problem with the grid is? And if not, do you know people who do know what the problem with the grid is? Because if you just say fix it, that's one thing, right?
It just needs to be fixed. Duh. Anyways, Don Huffines as well. We're going to give you their information to their site. So if you want to donate, give, whatever, I don't care. He wants to shut down the border without asking Biden. He said staunchly on his Twitter, publicly, and saw it on Fox News as well. I'm not going to ask any permission. I'm going to shut it down. 10th Amendment still holds true. So we're going to take care of our state. And I'm happy with that. That's like, yeah, why are we even asking Biden? Like, no, don't worry about him. He's not going to do anything. He's not going to do anything. So just do it ourselves.
Yeah. Well,
he also said he wants to end vehicle inspections. How are you going to do that? We'll see.
There's a lot of states that don't have vehicle inspections. I would be fine with ending vehicle inspections. I think they're dumb. I don't like them. I think that So
the whole purpose was to make roads safer, but it actually hasn't made them safer. And it's created where a business can be a garage that actually just doles out inspections. It's like, well, that wasn't what we were supposed to do. That was supposed to be a little additive along with a garage if they wanted to do it.
It's just another way to fund the state, man. Vehicle registration, just another way to get money to the state. Yeah,
it's dumb.
That could be as easy as just, we're not going to do that anymore. That's not a complicated issue. Let's talk about Allen West. Allen West.
He was the old GOP president for Texas GOP. He is since stepped down because he's running,
Mhm.
and westfortexas.com is his site.
Yep.
It has much of the same stuff, except he has short videos explaining his points.
Yeah. The thing about Alan West, didn't he? I think he also wrote a book. It might have been somebody else, but I think he wrote a book called "Save Texas, Save the Nation," which is a really good book about why we need to keep Texas conservative. And I think it was him that wrote it. I could be wrong. But yeah, you're seeing a lot of the same sort of conservative stuff. He's not quite as rock ribbed as
Hold
Huffman.
Texas, Hold the Nation, Victory or Death by
Yeah.
Alan.
Hold Texas, Hold the Nation. Great book. I would advise you purchase and read it. It's a great book. I think Alan West would be a fine governor. I think he'd be really good. And the other thing is Alan West knows how to work media. That's something that
Yeah.
Abbott and I mean Huffines got the billboard thing, which makes me think that he is the car dealership guy because he's working those billboards, right? But Huffines and Abbott aren't good at media. Alan West is a media person, right? So if you need somebody who's going to be out there and giving that sort of verbose speeches against Biden and against federal intrusion, and if you need a Ron DeSantis, right, somebody who's in the public eye all the time, right, and I think that's what a lot of people want in a governor. Alan West is your guy to do that. He's going to be the guy. He's going to be the guy that comes out and he's going to be on all the news channels. He's going to be the one that's
He's also diverse.
What's that?
He's also diverse.
He is diverse.
Whatever that means.
Alan West is a person of color, right? Specifically,
if
black.
that matters to you, there you go.
Yeah, Alan West is a black man, and more importantly, he's got good conservative values. We did see there was a Twitter or a TikTok about him recently about some police problems that he was having.
Yeah, that was some screwy stuff.
Yeah, apparently his wife got pulled over or something like that.
Yeah, wife got pulled over. They did some tests. They said DWI, and she also got fined because of the child under the age of 15 with her, which is Alan West's grandson. And then it turns out she breathed and it was 0 because she didn't drink anything. She had no influence of drugs. They just arrested her to arrest her, and he had to go in there and get her out. And then he told them to, you better release the test results, and they did. They're like, yeah, all charges are dropped. Like, yeah, because you had no reason to get her. But they had 2 police officers hold this grandson until his parent came and got him, because Alan was doing governor stuff and he wasn't there. And he's like, are you kidding me? And he had to actually put them on blast in order for them to be like, all right, sorry, our bad, charges dropped. It's like, yeah, the media thing works for him.
Yeah, so the media thing works for him for sure. Did they pull him over? Was he indicating that the cops didn't like him because he was conservative, or they didn't like him because he was black?
No, they didn't pull him over. They pulled her over.
And
arrested her.
That's crazy.
Took her to jail. Straight to jail.
Straight to jail. No trial, no nothing. Jail.
Just jail.
Speaking of media, let's talk about Chad Prather. Chad Prather on Blaze TV, which is a Glenn Beck's company based out of Irving, Texas, over there in Las Colinas. You're talking Steven Crowder, our good friend Allie Beth Stuckey is on there.
Glenn Beck.
Glenn Beck is on there. Is Phil Robertson still on there?
Yeah.
Yeah, Phil Robertson's still on there. So you got a lot of really good conservative voices, conservative media that's coming out of that area. And Chad Prather is one of these guys, and he's running for governor. Great. What's his platform? Really? I mean, the guy works in media, and I have no idea what his platform is. If you go to his website, it's unclear what his platform is.
Yeah, dude's more of a jokester, so it's kind of, I mean, he does have knowledge. I mean, when he does his articles and his show, it's kind of like a Steven Crowder. It's like he's going to add a funny spin to it, but it is true. It's just like,
This guy's a Kanye West candidate. He's Kanye West candidate, calling it right now. I think he's
Kanye was more popular.
I think he's just trying to increase his views and his ratings, to be honest with you.
Maybe.
I think that's what this is. And if that's the case, good for you, buddy. Good strategy. I don't think Chad Prather's going anywhere. I mean, he might. Who knows? But
we've been surprised. But I mean, we haven't heard a dang thing from him the whole time.
I've watched some of his stuff. There's nothing on there that indicates this guy has any clue what he's talking about, or not what he's talking
about.
He's
not even from Texas, but neither is Alan West.
how to run a country. He doesn't have to spend time in politics. And of course, we're talking about this. We just had Donald Trump as president of the United States, right? So
There is no requisite.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of our republic.
That's great. And you know what?
There's no like I have to be assistant manager in order to be manager. No, you can go straight to the top if you want to.
I'd be fine with Chad Prather being our governor. I think he'd do a fine job. But I don't think he's going anywhere. If you want to vote for him, do it. But I just don't think it's going to
give you the site.
Yep. All right. Let's talk about the Democratic candidates
for governor.
Yes.
There isn't any. None.
There are no Democratic candidates for governor.
Beto.
Not Beto. Beto's not running.
No.
There's all these stories about Beto running.
No. He's thinking about running.
Oh, he's got to go consult the New Mexico
wants to go.
mud.
He wants to go 0 for 3 when it comes to elections.
Dude, Beto, give it up, man.
And Matthew McConaughey. Matthew McConaughey is also like maybe.
Matthew McConaughey would be a phenomenal governor. I'm just saying it right now. Governor McConaughey, I'd be all about that.
We have no idea what he wants. He's an actor. Whatever he says in public, I don't believe you. You get paid lots of money to pretend to be someone else.
Yeah, because we've never liked actors who became politicians. Like, I don't know, like some guy named Ronald comes to mind. That being said, McConaughey, I think McConaughey would legalize weed. I think that's one thing that he would do that I wouldn't like very much, but I think he would legalize weed. And I think he'd just be doing nothing, which I'm happy with, right? I'm fine with. I don't think he would do all that much, which I would be totally fine with, right?
I don't know. There's some clips out that says, "So do we really need a 100-round magazine? Do we really?" I was like, "That's none of your concern."
Yeah. Now, again,
I don't know.
I think that McConaughey would be a disappointment to the libs in the same way that Abbott has been a disappointment to you, right? In the sense that he would realize, oh, if I'm going to keep my job, right, I've got to, because Texans aren't Californians. I don't think we have the same mask on about media, right? And so I think
we don't have a mask on at all because we were allowed to take it off.
I think McConaughey would do fine. I think he would do fine on his first election, but I think he would quickly realize, oh, if I'm going to get reelected, I need to make sure that I'm doing something to offer some concession there. So I don't think you'd see
is red.
Yeah, for sure. I think it would be perfect. I think if it wasn't Abbott, Huffines, or West, I'd probably vote for Matthew McConaughey because it would be a government standstill.
If the government or the governor McConaughey is a thing, then Texas will do all right.
It's a great slogan, man.
Get out of here.
Great slogan. I am all about it. Okay, let's talk about lieutenant governor.
Yeah, because that's the only thing Democrats are in. And right now, our top candidate for lieutenant governor is a guy named Mike Collier. CollierForTexas.com is his site. His site is mostly just for donations, though. He rails on Twitter against Dan Patrick like just as much as Huffines does against Abbott.
Mm-hmm.
He went against Patrick last time in the election and lost, but it was the closest that any Democratic lieutenant governor's ever gotten. However, in 2020, he was President Biden's senior advisor for the state of Texas and go-to surrogate to deliver President message of hope, decency, blah, 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 blah. I don't think that's going to go over well.
Yeah, that's not going to fly. That dog won't hunt in Texas. Sorry.
Yeah, he didn't win the state. And I know Abbott's possibly doing an audit. No freaking idea why they're doing that because Trump won, but they're doing it anyways. Yeah. Well, it's Trump. It's Trump.
Their message of hope and decency and competent leadership has not gone over well in Texas so far. I think you're going to see a dramatic shift into the red from Texas in this next election, in the next two elections, as a result of Biden's policies. And if you were in any way responsible for that, Mike Collier, is it Collier or Collier? I don't know.
I just say Collier.
Mike Collier. If you were in any way responsible for that, luck to you, buddy. But I don't think that's going to.
You also didn't say the right thing. It's policies, but okay, semantics.
Their policies. Let's talk about Dowd, Matthew Dowd. He's the guy that I think has the better shot. I think he wins over Collier.
maybe because he's on the news.
Yes.
He has no site yet, but they do. We're gonna give you a story about him from Statesman, Austin Statesman. He's a one-time strategist for W. Bush, and he was now political analyst for ABC News, which means he's a Democrat talking about Democrat things. And he's running for our lieutenant governor as a Democrat. This guy publicly broke with the Republican Party in 2007 because he didn't believe in the party anymore. I don't know, whatever.
I remember when that
He
happened.
wasn't truly a Republican anyways. Before Bush, I mean, W is an awesome dude, but he's a pretty liberal Republican, so not really Republican anyways. Yeah.
I think Dowd's got a better shot than Collier. The problem with Dowd is the fact that he's in media, right? So it's not even, it's the fact that he's a Democrat and he's a Democrat in media, which means you've got scores on the, and I don't know, are there any, there's got to be Republicans that are also running. Well, no, it's Dan Patrick.
Dan Patrick.
Yeah, Dan Patrick. So Patrick's basically just, I mean, he's got all kinds of stuff that he can hit this guy with. But I think that Dowd could.
Dowd is he, like you said, he is in the media, which means they do quip after quip after quip on Twitter. Well, once he announced it, all of a sudden 175,000 tweets get deleted from his Twitter. I wonder why. What are you hiding?
Well, you know, when you start running for office, man, that kind of stuff's got to get dumped. That's what I call.
Oh, don't worry.
That's what I call the Clinton lesson. Dump
Yeah.
your emails in your Twitter feed before you get on there, right?
Yeah, but Clinton bleached and then drilled holes in the server. That was a little different. This dude had screenshots, so it's like, yeah, internet's for everybody.
Dude, yeah, that's not.
There's one of them. He said, as a Catholic, some of the most Christian folks he knows are atheists. Okay.
All right.
He took a
I see what
picture
you're
of a-
trying
of
to
a-
say there. I see what you're trying to say there. It's not true, but I get what you're trying to say. What he's trying to say is that he knows atheists that are more decent people than Christians are, which is true because Christianity would tell you that we're all fallen and we're all sin, but we also have the common grace of understanding and you know, understanding God's presence in the universe and directing our lives according to that. And some atheists respond to that better than Christians do. I get what he's trying to say. He's wrong. And he's, first of all, not in standing with the Catholic Church, because the Catholic Church is not like just some wishy-washy Christian thing, right? It's not a Protestant situation. Like there are tenets. And if you violate those tenets, you can't call yourself a Catholic. So when you say more Christians, the most Christian people you know are atheists, that is a violation of Catholic law, basically.
I don't even care about their Catholic law. It's just if you're for abortion, which he is, then yeah, I don't know why people got so surprised. It's like, what do you mean Catholics can't be pro-abortion? It's like, we've never changed that.
You're in a position of scandal against the church if you do that. All right. Guys, there's a lot of good content out there. There's a lot of good participants out there. I really encourage that you go look at them and that you really study them yourself. Don't just listen to our word, right? Don't just listen to the words of
We'll give you the sites.
We'll give you the sites. Go do your research. Click the links, please. We encourage you to click the links on the show. We always have. But there could be changes coming pretty soon. The election is next year. It's going to be around the springtime, if I'm not mistaken. No, it's in the fall. Sorry, it's in the fall. Next year in the fall. Same time as, I'm sorry, I was thinking about the Rona election, which was in the springtime. But no, it's going to be in the fall because it lines up with the regular election. Sorry, my bad. But next year, don't vote on just the top of the ticket. Vote all the way down the ticket and know your candidates all the way down the ticket. That is how we become lights in the darkness. And we are lights in the darkness here in Texas, because in the darkness, the stars at night are big and bright.
Right.
We'll see you next week.